Okay, on an easy sharp machine, the radius of hollow is by moving the diamond with respect to the tool holder here. And when this edge is flush to here, it's 5/16. When it's to this first mark, it's 9/16. The next one is 3/4. This is 15/16. If you get the nose cone all the way up here, it's 1 3/8. And this has got 1/16, 4ths, whatever. I went through and did another diagram, a little bit easier to understand, at least for me. It's 5/16 at the edge. There's 9/16, 12/16, and 15/16. So the two bands are 3/16 apart here. And then it's 1/4 inch, 4/16 up on here. And I was just using this to kind of figure out, okay, if this is 9/16, there's 5/8. To visualize, you've got two other bands between there. So you undo this. If that's flush, like that, that's 5/16. And most of the time, there's a 9/16 right there. If you want to go in 3/4, if you want to go just like that, that's a 5/8. Now over here, when you adjust where it is on the machine, this knob brings the tool that's used to go through and cut the radius of hollow. And when you're done, you go ahead and turn this knob to bring it out of the way. And I've got this screwed way out of the way just to illustrate what the heck's going on. I've got this set to 5/16, and then I've got this little dot there, little wire here suspended in space to show you what's going on. So right now, the 5/16 radius of hollow means that from this diamond to the pivot point is 5/16. That's here, the first condition, where it's flush. So if I go ahead and that little yellow dot is actually in line between these two pivot points. So if you swing this around, it's kind of like a little planet that orbits right here. It's 5/16 from the diamond to the yellow dot. There it is, 5/16 to the diamond to the yellow dot. So when you traverse this in here to actually cut the stone, you're going back and forth like this to cut the stone. And then when you're moving this out to be in a different position, like this is set up right now to be 9/16. If I pull this out, this is just a spare to put this in here like that. Then the distance between the dot and here is 9/16. You can see the arc. Now, and this is on the Easy Sharp machine. It's made in Minneapolis. It used to be made in Stacy. This is an older model, a yellow model. The new ones are red. They changed the Z height a little bit higher on the newer models, but pretty much they're the same beefy, robust machine. Now, if you go here and set this to be 15/16 way out here, when this is in the holder like this, now notice I haven't moved this. There it is, from here, that dot to the edge of the diamond is 15/16, and as I traverse this, it's still the same distance from the diamond to here. So when you go ahead and adjust this, change the diamond, you got to be careful you don't, in any machine, you don't crash this into the stone. So you got to be very much aware where this is. So if you go ahead and use a larger radius of hollow, diamond's back, you have to pull this back in here when you actually do the cutting. If I move the little magic dot out of the way, you bring this up here, you go back and forth like this. And always be careful. I just touched it right there. So when this is spinning, you just take light cuts. If you go slow, it makes a smooth stone, which is good for finishing. If you go really quick, it makes it rougher, which is good to take off a bunch of rust and junk. And when you're done, you can leave it up here so it's out of the place, out of the way. And if the machine is, what you don't want to do is turn the machine on and go through and then run this out and make sure you don't hit the stone, because you'll go ahead and either you can shatter the stone on any machine or ruin the diamond. So you got to be very aware of where your diamond is with respect to the wheel. There's the machine turned on. This particular machine, the wheel's going clockwise, so the dust actually goes to the left. And that's it. That's the Easy and Sharp machine. It's got the little diamond. And after you cut, use it a bunch of times, you should go ahead and rotate the diamond, which means you undo this, rotate this around like this. And that minimizes, using a different facet on the diamond, and that makes the diamond last longer. You also have to make sure this is loose. If you've got, let's say this is set up to be 9/16 is like right there where the yellow band is. I'll turn this way out. If this is loose on this particular machine, these are good machines, they're very solid machines, but you don't want to have this just loose as a goose like this, because then you're going to go ahead and change where the pivot point is going to be shifting around, and you're going to create some chasing your tails as far as what edge is higher or lower. So better to have this snug to what the radius of hollow you want. Go ahead and put this in and then snug this down. You don't have to go crazy, but you don't want to have this, you don't want to have this tip flopping around when you're cutting, because the crown will occur at maybe a slightly different part whether you're going up or down, and that's kind of an insidious error. And then also where the crown is, the highest point isn't necessarily where the center of the wheel, because of tolerances, the way this is built in any machine. The way this is set up, the height of the motor, whatever.